Futurama. This is season 7, episodes 7 and 8. I'm trying out a different method of lighting. It's a little bit better for me. Time I'm filming this is my bedtime. But I figured I wouldn't irritate myself with the brighter light. It looks like it's pretty clear. I mean, looks like it's just a floating head because I wear a black t-shirt. But, anywho, um, so I guess talk about episode 7 first. We should talk about episode 8 first. I'll talk about episode 8 first. So, episode 8, uh, interesting concept. So, you've got Amy, who's pretty much, her character is pretty much billed as like the loose one, promiscuous, if you will. Um, but apparently, she's only reason she's. I always wonder why her character would be at the Planet Express, but apparently she's working under the professor in order to get her doctorate in physics or something or other, right? So in the process of her, I guess trying to get her doctorate, come to find out, the head professor in charge of the committee that's awarding her doctorate happens to be a puppet, and that puppet happens to be controlled by a highly intelligent cat from a planet of cats, whose their home planet has stopped rotating, so one side's freezing, one side's too hot. So basically, both sides are uninhabitable. So all the population of that Earth, or that planet, not Earth, that planet has to, I would think, just gravitate towards the middle of the Earth since it doesn't rotate. You're gonna have to grow everything and live right there, and you just take chunks of frozen ice from one side and take it to the other side, melt it, bring it back, and you have water. Makes sense to me. You can't really grow anything. Anyway, I'm thinking about this way too hard. um, there's always, it seems like there's always, usually, but not always. If that makes any sense. A takeaway from Futurama episodes. I don't think there is a takeaway. I think I need a little bit more light. Just let me see if that. That's a little bit better. That's a little bit better right there. Right? A little bit better. So, yeah, like I said, I don't think there's a takeaway from this particular episode. Now, that doesn't mean it's a bad episode. It's still pretty creative. Having super intelligent cats use their cuteness to hypnotize people in order to do their bidding. There's some talk about how stupid humanity is. Let's see what else happens there. Well, I guess it's lost on me, but there's a lot of thought that goes into this particular episode. I mean, even how they describe this planet full of cats. They said everything was fine. We had nice days for sleeping. Nice nights for sleeping because if you see a cat, they're mostly sleeping. Anyway, they said they had wild fish chicken running around because I guess most cat food is chicken and fish flavored. But that whole thing, I don't really want to get into that because I don't know too much about the pet food industry. But it seems like it would just be waste products that humans wouldn't want to consume or wouldn't want to knowingly consume. It's just advertised and put into kibble size bits of fun and then given to our animals. Like I say, I don't know too much about that, so um, I'm getting really deep on this upload, ain't I? That's what happens when you get in low light. Let me see what else happens on the episode. Uh, hmm. Oh, I guess the sub story would be Nibbler falls out of affection with Leela, and like now everybody knows he talks and he wants to be treated like an active, treated like a more senior member of the crew. But that quickly wears off because I guess that might be I may be, this may be a reach or whatever you want to call it, but I feel like at least they're hitting one thing, and one thing is, I think everybody in life at one time feels like they need to be independent, but when you become independent is when you wish you weren't. Does that make sense? So it's like you don't know how good something is until you don't have it anymore. That's probably my takeaway from it. I'm always trying to find a takeaway from a Futurama episode. I don't know why. So let's go to episode 7 now. Episode 7 is uh, my favorite of the two. Um, this one is about so uh, how creative this one is. It's Fry, the professor, and I think Bender. They're supposed to go to they're supposed to go to a hedonism bots bachelor party, um, but they wind up testing one of the professor's invention, which is a time machine, but it can only go forward, right? Uh, so they wind up going on that adventure, but while they're going on that adventure, the rest of the crew's led to believe that they've been killed because you guessed it, a nuclear powered stripper bot exploded, killing all the guests at Hedonism Bot's bachelor party. How inventive is that? And it's so hilarious. I don't care what you say. That is funny stuff. But anyway, so they're under the impression that they're dead, but of course they're traveling forward in time. See what else happens in this episode. What else happens in this episode? I guess the main story is Fry and Leela are trying to they're trying to finally be in a relationship, I guess, or go on a date, and it doesn't wind up working out. What else happens? So yeah, they're going. Fry, Bender, and the professor are going forward in time. As they're going forward in time, in I guess the time they left, not necessarily present, the time they left, Leela winds up taking control of Planet Express, and guess what? She expands the business, and it becomes uber profitable. Who would have thunk it, right? Um, uh, so I guess it's goes without saying, whenever individuals travel in time, or something like this happens in a sitcom or animated show like this, something has to happen that's in the favor or possibly down somebody one of the characters that are involved in this particular journey. So it would be Bender, the professor, and Fry. One of them, well, each of them should get a turn at finding a place in time that's their cup of tea. So we find one where Bender's happens to be like a Terminator style post-apocalyptic type world. They wind up leaving that because basically Bender's outnumbered. It's 2-1. Like, come on, man, you can't do it all. Humans are trying to get killed, and then they stumble. Well, they keep going forward in time, and they get to a place in time where uh, men are almost extinct. I guess human men are almost extinct, and it's all voluptuous, almost anime like women that run the world at this particular time and place. And they also have created a time machine, but this one goes back in time. So Bender and his Bender being bitter, he decides to continue to go forward. So they go forward, leaving that time when they could have went backwards and wouldn't have been that big a deal. But they wind up going to the end of time itself. Well, not just end of time, the end of the Earth, and of course, if anybody's into like planets and solar systems and galaxies and things like that, how stars are created and erased, they blow up. So eventually that will happen. Most likely not any of our lifetimes. Don't mean to get too spooky, even though I'm like doing this by really dimly lit light in a dark area. Didn't mean to get too spooky there. But yeah, in theory, that's what's going to happen. So they watch the end of the universe, and then of course, the universe starts over again. But they wind up messing up and having to go through it like two more times or one more time. I can't really remember. So they watch two or three different cycles uh, of creation, basically, in existence. At the end of that episode, They finally wind up getting back, but in the process, uh, I guess throughout that whole journey, Fry and Leela's love withstands the test of time, right? So even though they get back to a place where Frybender and the professor get back to a place where they're actually a couple minutes ahead of where they initially left, like 2 or 3 lifespans of the galaxy ago, and they wind up crushing their cells in that in that in that in that lifespan. Of course, they wind up burying one underneath a bridge, and finally, Fry and Leela get to go on their date. Good enough. So, if you like this video, I'm doing Futurama again. I'm doing The Wire, and I'm also going to suffer through The Mandalorian, and I'm going to have some more movies coming soon. So, until then.